أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings upon all of our respective viewers. Welcome once again to Ahlulbayt TV, and of course, this being a Sunday evening, this is the live Q&A session, welcoming you onto the show and inviting you to ask any questions related to Islam or religion in general. And as always, we welcome questions from anybody and everybody, regardless of your religious affiliation and background. And of course, the ways in which you can get in touch with us are the same as always. The phone lines now, alhamdulillah, are open. So if you would like to call in and speak to our esteemed Islamic scholar directly, then please do so. Alternatively, you can post questions on our social media platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and you can also contact us via email or the text messaging service, as well as WhatsApp, and we will always try to get through all of the questions, time permitting, if not as many as possible, inshallah. And of course, we'll just jump straight into it. But before we do, as always, on behalf of all of our viewers, I welcome our esteemed Islamic scholar to Ahlulbayt, His Eminence Sayyid Muhammad al-Musawi. Sayyidina, as always, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you with us once again. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. My respected brothers, sisters, young mu'mineen and mu'minat, life is a bounty from Allah on us. And Allah created us to enjoy life. Our life will be enjoyable and fruitful and pleasant when we be on the right path. As He created us on the best way in every part of our body. He put our eyes in the proper place. The slightest change in the situation, God forbid, will make our life different. Allah put our tongue in the proper place. God forbid, any change in the place will make our life difficult. As our body was created by Him in the most accurate, sophisticated system, He wanted us to use and to utilize our body, our life, in the proper way that He knows that it will lead us to the happiness. The happiness in all dimensions. The happiness which will remain. In this regard, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. We need to focus on understanding life. Understanding life does not stop only when you know that this food is sweet and that food is salty and that piece of food is bitter. No, our senses are one dimension of our life. Our life is much beyond what we sense. Our senses are ways to understand some facts of life, but not all facts of life. Our mind, our intellect leads us to understanding life more, even if we are unable to see. Those who are blind, those who cannot hear, those who cannot talk, still they have got a functioning brain. They understand through their intellect the facts of life. We need to pray to Allah again and again and again to help us to understand life. More we understand life, more we enjoy life, and more we utilize life in the proper aim of our life. So the title, one of the main aims of every human being who is intellectual, is to understand life properly. Of course, no one understood life as the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him and his holy progeny. No one understood life better after the Prophet than Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam, because of their maximum degree of understanding life. They reached to what they reached to. They are the best of all human beings. So when we seek from Allah sincerely, oh Allah, oh our Lord, oh our Creator, grant us from your blessings, from your grace, to understand life more. This is one side, which I call it one of the titles of our life, to always understand life better. Number two, we worship Allah, because without worshiping Allah, we'll be cut off. The human being needs essentially to be in touch with his Creator by Salah. Salah from connection, Sila in Arabic. Connection, Sila. So when you perform your Salah properly, you are connected with Allah. Those who don't perform Salah properly, they disconnect themselves from Allah. So where it will be their place? With those who don't believe in Allah. Even a Muslim believes in Allah, but does not care for his Salah, he will be joining the non-believers in the hellfire. We need to understand Salah. Many people perform Salah as a habit because they saw their parents praying and they want to be believers practicing, so they perform Salah. Good. But when we understand Salah more, we will enjoy the Salah. We will then have the taste of Salah. We need to start trying as much as we can to understand Salah more. No one can claim that he has understood Salah 100%. No. It is only the degree of the ma'soom, the infallible. We are not ma'soom. But we keep on trying. And more we try sincerely to understand Salah, more we will enjoy Salah. And more our Salah will be of a great reward for us. As a title, trying to understand Salah. Every step of Salah, right from performing wudu, when we try to understand why we perform wudu and what is the meaning of it. And then reciting adhan, when we say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. When we recite adhan, we try to understand what we are saying in the adhan. Adhan, in fact, is the brief of our faith. And then we start after adhan, iqamah, and we repeat main facts of Islam. Step by step, we need to understand our Salah and every worship that we perform, that will make us better believers. Believers who react with what they say and what they believe in. May Allah guide us and help us and give us courage and ability to understand life, understand Salah, understand Adhan, Iqamah, and every step of our ibad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
Thank you very much indeed. If someone attacks me verbally in an aggressive way, can I hit him or her as a response? How can I react? What is the rule about self-defense?
You see, this question, if you ask the Prophet or any of the infallible Imams, the same question, he will tell you, as we understand from the teachings of Islam, that don't hit anyone. He did not hit you. He abused you verbally. So the best reaction is to be peaceful, because in Quran Allah praises the good believers. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. The good believers, when the ignorant talk to them in, of course, wrong way of ignorance, the pious servants of Allah, they respond by peace. Keep your response of the pious servants of Allah. When someone abuses us, we are not great people that we feel angry because he insulted a great man like me. I'm not a great man. Whatever I might be, even if you think that you are the greatest man in your community, still you are humble servant of Allah. So remember that we are not infallible. And even you see in the life of the infallibles, the prophets and the imams were being abused in the worst way. The Prophet of Islam was being accused in the worst way. But what was his response? Did he hit anyone because of abusing him or accusing him? No. No. His response was peace. Peaceful. You pray for him, may Allah guide him. Don't hit anyone. A person who does wrong to you, don't respond by a wrong response at all. Try always to keep your response under the frame of the teachings of the Prophet and Ahlulbayt. Be peaceful, control over yourself, don't hit him, and don't give him also bad words, otherwise you will be like him. He gave you bad words. If you give him bad words, you will be like him. But keep your response polite, peaceful, tolerant, and Allah will never let you down.
Thank you very much. Sayyidina, I'd like you to respond, if you would, please, to this comment from a convert sister. She says, as a convert, I don't self-identify as any sect of Islam. I follow the Quran and strong Hadith. The political succession of Muhammad makes extremely little difference in my life and religion. I'm not going to pledge love for Ali or any companion or anything else that has no foundation in my religion. I pledge my faith to Islam, my belief to Allah, and my acceptance to Muhammad as a prophet.
Okay. Okay. My respected sister. Hello, are you with me?
Yes,
Hello?
your camera's frozen, actually.
Let me try to see what is the problem with the camera. Okay.
Yeah, please, if you can. Also, I can see, I'm just going to try and get the telephone number. Oh, okay, alhamdulillah, we see you now, Sayyidina. So, yes.
Now it's okay?
Yes,
okay.
Okay.
So the main points in the question of the sister, that it makes no difference for her who is the successor of the Prophet. Okay, there's one point. Let me brief her question, then I'll take the points one by another. One point which I understood, that from her, it is not a very important issue who was the real successor of the Prophet. This number one. What was the second point?
Sorry, it was quite a long statement. So, political succession makes extremely little difference to her life, and so she's not going to pledge allegiance to Imam Ali alayhi salam or any other companion for that matter. Her concern is basically Islam, Quran, and strong Hadith.
Okay. My sister, let me take what you said. According to your question, you are concerned with Islam, Quran, and strong Hadith. I agree with you completely. But tell me, my respected sister, from where you can get the real Islam, from where you can get the real meanings of Quranic verses, from where you can get the strong Hadith, when you find among Muslims thousands of narrations which were being fabricated because of politics. All the scholars of Islam, from Sunni sect and Shias, all of them admit that there are thousands and thousands of narrations which were being fabricated. You need to identify the authentic narration from the fabricated one. Starting with the first point, which Islam you are after? Are you after the Islam of the Prophet or the Islam of Muawiyah? Because Muawiyah also claimed to be a ruler of Muslims, and then he appointed his son Yazid in his place. And Muawiyah was claiming to be the head of the state of Muslims. So are you ready to leave the Islam of the Prophet and follow the Islam of Muawiyah? Because Muawiyah is, after all, by title, claimed to be a Muslim. Today, do you want the Islam of Ahlulbayt, Islam of peace, Islam of logic, Islam of justice, tolerance, or you want the Islam of Taliban and ISIS and the other so-called Islamic terrorist groups? Which one you are after? I'm sure you are not after the Islam claimed by some so-called Muslim groups who are practically group of murderers and killers and terrorists. So the point is, my sister, where to find the real Islam? Real Islam of the Prophet. No doubt, the real Islam of the Prophet is with his successor, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, and no one can claim to have the real Islam apart from Ali ibn Abi Talib. With due respect to everyone who is to be respected, but Ali ibn Abi Talib is the one who has the full knowledge about Islam, full knowledge about Quran and tafsir of Quran, meaning of Quran, and full knowledge about the strong, means authentic hadiths. That is our issue. The issue now between Muslims is who is the real divine leader of Islam and Muslims after the Prophet. We, the followers of Ahlulbayt, believe that the Prophet did not leave his ummah without explaining to the ummah clearly what will be the system of leadership after him. And he informed the ummah that I will be succeeded by 12 divine leaders. First of them is Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salam, and last of them will be Al-Mahdi, alayhi salam. Other Muslims believed in Saqifa. We believe in the allegiance of Al-Ghadir, which was by order of Allah. And others believe in Al-Saqifa, which has no foundation in Quran nor in any authentic hadith. Today, Muslims are following one of these two lines. The line of Al-Ghadir, that is the divine allegiance, which was being ordered by Allah and it was being organized by the Prophet, and more than 120,000 companions gave allegiance to Ali ibn Abi Talib, being Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Mawla of every mu'min and mu'mina. The other line is the line of Saqifa. We are after the real divine leadership. And the second question, from where to take the real teachings of the Prophet of Islam? From where to get the real meanings of Quranic verses? Otherwise, if you look at the Muslims today, you will find hundreds, I can say even thousands of different opinions about the meaning of different verses and about narrations. So you will be in mess, big mess, if you don't follow the righteous divine leaders that Prophet ordered us. Keep on following Quran and Ahlul Bayt. You will never go astray after me. So we are following Quran and the real meanings of Quran narrated from the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, and following Ahlul Bayt because they are the most knowledgeable and most pious leaders of Islam and Muslims after the Prophet of Islam, peace and blessing be upon him and his holy progeny.
I'm a woman and my father is a very old man. He was attacked in a very aggressive way on the street by some young women because of political reasons. They approached him very near and screamed, "How can I react?"
So your father is an old man and your old father was being attacked by a young woman. So that young woman attacked your father for political reasons. Let me understand the question first, please.
That is my understanding, yes. So this young sister, let's assume, so we're making some assumptions here, was walking down the street with her father. And whilst walking down her street with her father was approached by a group of young women who became quite aggressive towards him. Let's assume just verbally, not aggressively. and it's probably a follow-up to the first question actually, and wants to know how she should best, I guess, protect her father in such a situation.
I mean, who became aggressive? Her father became aggressive?
No,
or the other group?
The group of young ladies who approached her father.
Okay, they did wrong. Our response should be with logic and peaceful response as far as possible. You know, when you respond to the wrong by a wrong way, you will add on the wrong. But when you respond to the wrong by wisdom and tolerance, you will make the evil less, or you might even extinguish the fire of evil. That is the teachings of the prophets and Ahlulbayt alayhim salam. We are not with the ignorants who respond in the wrong way. No, we don't respond in the wrong way at all, except when it comes to defending yourself. When you have no way but to defend yourself or your family members, then you have to defend yourself and your family members. Otherwise, our response to the wrong is peaceful and with logic and tolerance.
Okay, thank you. What is our position with regards to invoking other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Invoking other than Allah has got two ways. One way which is completely wrong, which is never done by us or by any Muslim. Like the non-Muslims, the mushriks, those who worship other than Allah. So they worship the stone, they worship the tree, they worship something or someone apart, away from Allah. And they think that what they want is in the hand of that idol or that tree or that person and so on. When someone invokes none than Allah, thinking that none than Allah have the decision and the ability to do, to give without Allah, that is completely wrong. But when you invoke the Prophet of Islam, the Imam, the pious servants of Allah, believing that they only can do after permission from Allah. So their interference is to seek from Allah to provide us our needs, to protect us the evil. So this is right, because you believe that the final decision is not in the hands of the Prophet or the Imam or the pious servant of Allah, but it is only and only in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we seek from them their intercession, interference, their dua, their support to get us what we need from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, please.
Okay, can you maybe help us understand, because we use maybe wrongly, especially if we are not necessarily schooled in the Islamic teachings or not Arab speakers, but we use arguably incorrectly the terms, or we use them in the same meaning when there's arguably a difference in meaning. I know I'm referring to terms like Shafara, and then we have tawassul, or we have istighatha. Do they mean the same things? Can I use the words interchangeably, or is there some technical difference?
No. You see, tawassul and shafa'a and istighatha Among them, there are common areas. But in the accurate linguistic and terminology meaning of them, there are slight differences. But the common area is that you seek the supplication, the support of the humble servants of Allah because of their degree, which is high, because their obedience to Allah is degree. Allah has granted them the Shafa'ah. Shafa'ah is not granted for everyone. Allah in the Quran mentions, وَكَمْ مِنْ مَلَكٍ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ لَا تُغْنِي شَفَاعَتُهُمْ. How many angels in the skies and earth, their intercession has no value, which means that Allah grants His special, most humble servants of Allah, Allah grants them the Shafa'ah. Allah grants the sincere mu'min the right of Shafa'ah. And the Hadith says, إِنَّ الْمُؤْمِنَ لَيَشْفَعْ لِمِثْلِ so and so of tribes. It means big number of people. Allah grants the believer to do Shafa'ah for them, intercession for them. Of course, better than the usual mu'min, the high servant of Allah, then the infallible imams and the prophets. So Shafa'ah is intercession, which Allah grants His own servants who can grant and help people who need intercession. This is the Shafa'ah. Istighatha. Istighatha is when you are in difficulty and you are in urgent need. You cry for help. In Quran it is mentioned, فَاسْتَغَاثَهُ الَّذِي هُوَ مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ عَلَى الَّذِي هُوَ مِنْ عَدُوِّهِ. In Quran, Allah mentioned when Musa, the Prophet, عليه السلام, entered وَدَخَلَ الْمَدِينَةَ عَلَى حِينِ غَفْلَةٍ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. When Musa entered the city, when people were unaware of him, and he saw فَوَجَدَ فِيهَا رَجُلَيْنِ يَقْتَتِلَانِ. He saw in the city two men fighting one another. هذا من شيعته. One of them was from his followers. وهذا من عدوه. And the other from his enemies. And here, look at Quran. Allah in Quran calls the followers of the Prophet as Shia. هذا من شيعته. So the Shia are the followers of the Prophet. وهذا من عدوه. And the other one was from his enemy. فاستغاثه الذي هو من شيعته. The person who is from his followers, استغاثة means calling for urgent help. استغاثة means calling for غوث, urgent help, to help him against that man from his enemies. Musa came and supported the person from his Shia, from his followers. That is the meaning of istighatha. So tawassul is seeking wasila. Wasila means to seek from the humble servants of Allah to help you, to be a wasila, a way, a mean to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to get you your need and to protect you from the evil.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for that clarification. Just a very quick point before we move on, and that is, how do we then understand, and of course, I appreciate it comes up in different du'as, but it's just a particular verse of Documentaries that came to mind when we say Ya Ghiyath al-Mustaghithin. So that's referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not asking other than Allah.
Of course.
But I'm just trying to
understanding Quran.
Yes.
Understanding Quran does not come from reading one verse. Understanding Hadith does not come from reading one Hadith. Always you need to understand through understanding all the verses which came in this subject. In Quran, Allah says, Allahu yatawaffa al-anfusa hina mawtiha. Means Allah takes the souls back when people die. Okay, that's in the Quran. Allah says, بَلْ يَتَوَفَّاكُمْ مَلَكُ الْمَوْتِ الَّذِي وُكِّلَ بِكُمْ. Another verse, that the angel of death who was being asked to take your soul will take your soul. Look, that verse says Allah takes your soul. Here Allah says the Malak, the angel of death, responsible about you, your death will take your soul. What is the meaning of it? The meaning is the angel of death who is being sent by Allah, by order of Allah. So this matter, Ya Ghiyath al-Mustaghithin, yes, Allah is a real helper. But when you say, when that man told Musa, فَاسْتَغَاثَهُ الَّذِي, he wanted urgent help from Musa, which is by order of Allah. By order of Allah. We say, Ya Ghiyath al-Mustaghithin, Allah is a final. No one can help us if Allah does not want. We seek the help of the Prophet and the infallible Imams, which can never come to us, but only after permission from Allah. And we seek the help from the Prophet and Ahlulbayt, because if they seek from Allah, their supplication is different from our supplication because of their obedience and the degree of piousness they had. Their supplication, their request will have different effect than our request. That's why we seek help from the Prophet and Ahlulbayt alayhim salam, knowing and believing that Allah is the only who decides.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. So I think going forward, for many of us, if we want to understand a particular topic, like you said, as a conclusion, picking out one verse, especially if it sits with maybe my mentality before, if I don't particularly understand a particular topic, is not the correct approach. I should look at that particular topic comprehensively, and then hopefully have an understanding of these particular verses in a more in a wider context.
Yes, I say never take one text as a final source of knowledge about this subject. Always you need to go through all the texts related to the same subject, compare between them, try to understand all of them, then you can try to come out. And it is not an easy job, simply not a job of anyone. It is a deep knowledge which needs research. That's why our scholars spend 40 or 50 or 60 years to understand and then to be able to give a verdict in any subject. You never find any scholar taking just one text and coming out with a result. No. We need to take all the related texts, all the texts related to the same subject, compare between them, and then matter can be clear for us.
So thank you very much indeed. Okay, moving on. Could you please shed some light on i'tikaf? Which months of the year are most mustahab to do this in? Also, how many days? Finally, can you please advise in short what is best to do in its duration, e.g. Salat, Quran, and should one fast?
I'tikaf is a worship which cannot be done at home. No one can do i'tikaf at home. I'tikaf can only be in the main masjid of the place, of the city where you are. Al-Masjid al-Jami'. Al-Masjid al-Jami'. The main masjid of your area. Or some of the ulama say any masjid. But of course the best is to be in the main masjid. I'tikaf is to be busy inside the masjid in worshipping Allah. Any type of worshipping Allah. One of the conditions of i'tikaf that it cannot be less than 3 days. No i'tikaf for 1 day or 2 days, no. I'tikaf cannot be less than 3 days. And the i'tikaf has brought another condition that you must be fasting. Not you can, you must. No i'tikaf if there is no fasting. Where? In the main masjid or any masjid. When? Anytime when the fasting is permissible. You cannot do i'tikaf on the day of Eid because day of Eid al-Fitr and day of Eid al-Adha fasting is not permissible. In which month? Any month. Any month. Of course, it has been mentioned that in the month of Ramadan, the thawab of i'tikaf will be much more, but you can do i'tikaf any month of the year in the masjid, fasting and being busy in any type of worshipping Allah. Dua, reciting Quran, reciting Hadith, knowledge, teaching, learning, reading useful books, anything which is useful and under the title of obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. During i'tikaf, no involvement in any worldly matter. Means you cannot be in i'tikaf and in the masjid doing business, buying and selling and negotiating. No. I'tikaf is only worshipping Allah. No involvement in worldly matters. You cannot do anything. You cannot go out for example, watching football match, for example. No. You cannot go out from the masjid, but only for urgent work. Say, when they will go to the toilet, okay, go out. Or when someone dies and you want to take part in his funeral, a mu'min dies and you want to take part in his funeral, it is permissible for you to go out of the masjid of i'tikaf to take part in the funeral and come back immediately. So that is very short about i'tikaf.
Okay, thank you. Sayyidina, how do we explain the story of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam as mentioned, as narrated in the Holy Quran? And I'm talking particularly about when he placed, I believe it was a drinking cup, in the provisions of his brother so that he could use that as an excuse to keep his brother back and send the rest of his brothers to Ya'qub alayhi salam. How do we understand that? Does it, because it comes across as being something that is below the level of akhlaq of a prophet?
Number one, I mentioned many times, I repeat also, don't take the meanings of Quran from the translators. Those who don't understand the Arabic language, usually they read the translation. And the fact is this, that most of the translations are not accurate. I can confidently say that I have never seen any translation of the meanings of Quran which is 100% giving the meanings of Quran. I have never seen. In English or any other language which I can read, the few ones that I can follow. So don't take the translation as a final word in the meaning of the Quranic verse. Number two, Yusuf is a prophet, and every prophet is an infallible. Many acts of the infallible are not in level of our thinking. Otherwise, when Al-Khidr killed a child, Al-Khidr killed a child in front of Musa, and Musa could not tolerate and objected on Al-Khidr. Al-Khidr told him, didn't I tell you that you will never be able to tolerate? So Musa was sorry and apologized and said, I will not ask you again. I will not object. I will not argue with you again. So when a prophet does something, you should not expect that the real meanings and the real reasons can be clear for anybody's thinking, like us. Yusuf, فجعل السقاية في, he put it in the part of his brother. Why? Allah knows. That does not mean any wrong at all. We don't understand it. We should trust that Allah made all the prophets infallible, and the infallible will never do anything which is in fact lower than the morality of usual people. No. So that incident took place for reasons best known to Allah, and we are sure that that was the exact justice. That was the only way to save his brother. You know, one brother of Yusuf was good and pious against other brothers who were on the other side, who wanted to kill him, and they threw him in the well. So the reason why Yusuf alayhi salam did that, best known to Allah. Allah taught Yusuf. We can, from outside, think that it is the only way to save that innocent and good brother. Details is with Allah and known by the Prophet himself, alayhi salam.
Alayhi salam. Alayhi salam. What is the recommendation regarding the time of adhan? Should we carry on our activities whether Islamic or not? Or should we pause everything and pay importance to the adhan? Is it correct that 70 years of worship is lost, or something along this line?
Is it correct?
That, I think it's saying 70 years of worship is lost. I'm assuming if adhan is being recited and one is busy in worldly matters.
Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam, has said in the reported narration from him that examine our followers, امتحنوا شيعتنا, examine our real Shias on the time of Salah, how they are punctual in performing Salah on time. The real Shia, real followers of Ahlulbayt, never postpone Salah for any reason. Nothing is more important than Salah. Imagine when Amir al-Mu'mineen is doing the jihad against the enemies of Allah in Siffin, in Nahrawan, in Jamal, while the war is going on, Imam Ali stood praying Salah. Someone told him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, is it time of Salah now? We are fighting. Imam said, we are not fighting them, but only because of Salah. So Salah is more important than anything else. We have got in the narration that the real followers of Ahlulbayt, when they used to work in their fields or in the work, that when the time of Salah starts and they have something in hand, they throw it. They don't hit the land anymore. They don't hit the earth. Finish. Time of Salah. They don't even raise anything. They do nothing. Only Salah. So when Adhan starts, leave every other act. Every. Studying, working, doing whatever you are doing. Leave it. Go for Salah first. Then continue. The Hadith says, لا يفلح قبل الصلاة عمل. No act will be successful before performing the Salah. Means when the Salah starts, when the time of Salah comes, no act will be successful. But after performing the Salah.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. When one is in a state of impurity, can they touch a prayer mat?
When a person is in a state of impurity, can they touch prayer mat? Prayer mat?
Yes.
Prayer mat?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Prayer mat is not Quran. When a person is in a state of impurity, I mean, he is in, say, janaba, or he has no wudu. Of course, we are not allowed to touch the text of Quran, the writing, not the book itself. Say the book itself, say, for example, this book. To touch the book is permissible, but to open the Quran and touch the text is haram without wudu. So touching the prayer mat is not haram, unless if the prayer mat has got the name of Allah written on it. So don't touch the name of Allah in the state of impurity.
Okay, thank you. What is the ruling on wearing clothes during prayers which have motifs or names of animals or human beings?
Names.
And pictures of animals.
Wearing a cloth which has got names of animals.
And pictures.
And pictures. Names have no difference. I mean, it makes no difference for you when names are written. But names should not take your attention. You should not think about the names. Pictures are makruh. Makruh to wear cloth with pictures. The point is this, it should not take your intention or attention away from Salah. After all, it is not haram. It is not haram, but better not to wear cloth with pictures of animals during performing Salah, and not to wear cloth with names if the names can take your attention away from your Salah.
Why do we see Sunnis giving da'wah and not the Shia?
Why do we see Shia giving da'wah?
Sunnis giving da'wah but not the Shia.
Line is cutting. Why do we see Sunnis giving da'wah but the Shia are
not?
Shia not? In fact, the way of da'wah is different. Even among Sunnis. Sunnis have got different sub-sects. Besides the main four Sunni sects, the Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, they are sub-sects. In the Hanafis, you find in the subcontinent Deobandi and Barelwi. Then you find Ahlul Hadith, and you find Jama'at Islami, and you find many sub-sects. One of them, they go door to door, but not all of them. Not all the Sunnis go door to door. The Shia do tabligh and da'wah through other ways. Main da'wah of Shia is the majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The Shia hold majalis around the year, and in 2 months and 8 days they hold majalis every day, from the 1st of Muharram, whole Safar, and 8 days of Rabi'ul Awwal, every day. And also after 9th of Rabi'ul Awwal, majalis are always every Laylat al-Jum'ah, Shab al-Jum'ah, and in many places. So the da'wah of the Shia is through the majalis, and this is a da'wah through which millions of people have come to the truth of Ahlulbayt alayhim salam. If you read the history, how the subcontinent people became followers of Ahlulbayt. Nowadays, in the subcontinent, which is India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, the subcontinent, now the number of Muslims in the subcontinent is much more than 500 million Muslims. More than half a billion of Muslims. Go to the history and see how these people, who their forefathers were non-Muslims, how did they become Muslims? You will find that the main reason which made non-Muslims come to Islam was through the gate of Imam Hussein. They heard about Imam Hussein, heard about his shahadat, martyrdom, heard about his sacrifice, and they reacted and they became near to Islam. And as a result of it, millions and millions of Muslims became Muslims because of the da'wah through the majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Until today, these majalis are not only attracting more people to Islam, but also keeping the Muslims who are Muslims by name, but not by practice, keeping them with the Muslims. Means if they don't perform worship, they don't pray Salah, they don't fast. But when Muharram comes, they must take part in Muharram. Even they don't have any other worship in their life, but Muharram for them is something compulsory, which means Allah made Imam Hussein the gate for people to enter Islam, and also the reason for millions of Muslims to keep in touch or to remain in the frame or circle and the house of Islam. This is the best da'wah. Best da'wah is through the love of Ahlulbayt and reaction with what happened with Ahlulbayt alayhim as-salam.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Sayyid. Now, on that particular point, you mentioned the subcontinent and obviously the influence of majalis then and inshallah even till today. I wonder, however, whether, and of course we haven't really been here in the West for that long, but whether we are using the majalis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and of course Aimma in general in the best way to propagate the message of Imam Hussein and Islam. And by that I mean it tends to be quite insular. We cater to those who already follows Ahlul Bayt. Yes, I might invite my friend who's a non-Muslim or is a Muslim who's not follower of Ahlul Bayt. But I'm just asking whether or not it's the best way, or we're using the majalis in the best way, most efficiently to spread the message of Islam and the A'imma alayhim wassalam.
This question addresses an important issue. No doubt that the history of Islam has got thousands of witnesses that through the love of Imam Hussein, through the sacrifice of Imam Hussein, millions of people came to Islam in many countries. But nowadays, what we are witnessing in the West, with all the appreciation that there are hundreds or even thousands of majalis in the West. And I remember personally that in one city, London, in the first Ashra of Muharram had 100 majlises, 100 every day in different languages, Arabic, English, Urdu, Turkish, Farsi, and other languages. But majority of our majalis are catering for our own people. Good, very good. But what about outsiders? What is the percentage of non-Muslims who are attending our majalis? Out of 100 majlises in one city, as I mentioned, London, how many majlises are in the language of the land, of the English people? Less than what it should be. So I appreciate the noble efforts of all those who have majalis. But I say that we are still behind what we should do. We are still behind our responsibility to make the people of the land understand, listen, know the basics why Imam Hussein alayhi salam was being martyred. So I hope that not only in one city, but in every city in the West, in Europe, in America, in Australia, everywhere, wherever we can, we should do our best to convey the message of Imam Hussein to those who don't know it, not only for our own people. Very great to have for our own people in our own languages, yes, but we should also care for those who don't know. Those who don't know. In this part, we have to make more efforts to make the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam reach to those who don't know it.
Phantom, thank you very much. In Namaz al-Shab, are we allowed to take ladies' name when we say 14 mu'mineen?
Why not? Among the 40 mu'mineen does not mean males. Mu'mineen means believers. You see, when we say mu'mineen, sometimes we say mu'mineen and mu'minat, males and females. But sometimes when you say الذين آمنوا, those who believed, that means males and females. So here 40 mu'min, 40 believer. The 40 can be males, can be females. Why not? You can, if you, a lady, she wants to remember her own sisters and aunts and cousin sisters and friends. She brings 40 names of female believers. No wrong in it. Males and females, no wrong in it. In the 40 names, name of any believer, living believer, or a believer who passed away. It makes no difference.
What is the dua to recite on hardships?
On Hajj?
Hardships, difficulties.
Hardship. There are many du'as to recite in hardship. Many du'as. Well, I've got the dua which Imam Hussein alayhi salam faced the biggest hardship in Karbala, and he recited, Allahumma anta thiqati fi kulli karb, wa anta raja'i fi kulli shidda, wa anta li fi kulli amrin, nazala bi thiqatun mu'udda. A dua which is not very long, but the briefest dua in hardship is to repeat Astaghfirullah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Or better to recite Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, Astaghfirullah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Or the shortest to say Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah protects you. Or Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, again and again and again, protects you. And also la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, again and again and again, also it protects you. Yes, please.
Okay. If I prayed with a leather wallet or belt which was from a non-halal animal and only realized at the end, is the prayer valid, or does it need to be repeated?
If you carry
a leather wallet or belt,
okay,
which was from a non-halal animal and only realized at the end, is the prayer valid, or does it need to be repeated?
Okay, wallet is not like belt. Wallet is being usually carried. Belt is being worn. Carrying is different from wearing. Carrying non-halal leather does not harm your salah. Only carrying. If you carry in your pocket non-halal leather, even not just leather, like leather of pig. Someone has got wallet from pig in his pocket. His salah is not invalid as far as the wallet is not wet. Means the najasa, the najis matter does not make your cloth najis. Or you carry wallet from leather which is non-halal. No harm, your salah is valid. But wearing a belt is different, because belt wearing means you are wearing something, and Muslim, while salah, is not allowed to wear any najis item. So you have already started your salah, then you came to know that your belt is from non-halal leather. Immediately take it away, and throw it. Your salah is valid. Don't leave it. Don't wear it deliberately. Don't wear that najis leather deliberately. If you did it without knowing, immediately, as soon as you remember that you are wearing something which is not permissible, immediately open it and throw it away without any delay.
Is it permitted for a Shia to marry a Zaydi?
Is it permitted for a Shia man or a Shia man to marry a Zaydi woman? The answer is yes, it is permitted. It is permitted. Of course, in general, marriage should not harm our religion. If a person falls in love with a female and they want to go for marriage, and both of them are Muslims, and both of them are followers of Ahlulbayt even, but if anyone from them knows that the marriage, this marriage, will harm his or her religion, then they should not go ahead with the marriage. Any marriage which can harm the religion, then we must avoid it. Otherwise, if there is no harm on the religion, Muslim is allowed to marry any other Muslim. Muslim man is allowed to marry any Muslim women as far as no harm on his religion.
Okay, thank you. What is the reward of tolerating bad behavior and false accusations and leaving matters in Allah's hands?
According to the Hadith, minimum reward of tolerating the bad behavior and controlling over our anger is the forgiveness of whole 1 year sinful acts. Maghfirat sana means forgiving or forgiveness of whole 1 year sins. When a person controls over his anger and tolerates the wrong of others.
How do we develop the ability to differentiate between when indeed it's best to just tolerate and keep quiet, and yet there are other times where it's arguably wajib upon us to, in an appropriate manner of course, stand up and maybe fight against or defend our rights and our dignity and our honor? How do we how can we differentiate between when we should do either or?
Your aql should guide you. Mainly we tolerate. But if there is a real reason to respond, of course, the response must be politely, with wisdom, without anger, without any bad statements or bad words, that is left to your own decision. But mainly we tolerate. Because in Quran, Allah says, وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. When the ignorant speak to them, they say peace. The servants of Allah, وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ, the servants of Allah, one of their characteristics, that when they are being wronged by the ignorance, the response is peaceful. Salama. Yes, please.
How can we debunk the Khawarij terrorism and prove that this is not something linked to Islamic teachings?
Simply read the Quranic verses which are very clear for peace. Allah in Quran says, وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ. Fight in the way of Allah against those who fight against you. And read the authentic statements of the Prophet of Islam and Ahlulbayt. And then people will know that these terrorists are not acting according to real Islamic teachings. And that is a responsibility on every Muslim to make non-Muslims know that these people are not acting according to Islam, and they should not blame Islam and Muslims for the behavior of such groups who are far away from the teachings of Islam.
Okay, are we allowed to pray namaz in a dark room with a torch so that we do not disturb other people?
Yes, we are allowed. Praying namaz in dark room is permissible. Sometimes it is good if someone is sleeping in the same room and you don't want to disturb his sleep. It is not only allowed, it is more than allowed, because we have to avoid disturbing anyone's sleep. We should not cause any disturbance to anyone because of our worshipping Allah. So in principle, it is allowed to pray in a dark room. And then when lighting or switching on the light can harm or disturb the rest or the sleep of others, we should avoid it.
Okay, thank you. And is it haram to pray in a room which is pitch dark, or what is the ruling? Praying in a room which is pitch dark, no torch, no lights, no candlelight.
Is it haram? Is it haram to pray in a room which is completely dark?
Yes.
Not haram. But, I mean, you should avoid harm. If it is completely dark, you don't know, you might harm yourself. You might touch something and you get injured. So don't cause harm to yourself. But if you know that this room has nothing which is harmful, no sharp items when you do sujood or you stand up, no sharp items, no, say, insects or animals which can harm you. Yes, but if a place is completely dark and there is a possibility of harm, no, you should not expose yourself to any possibility of harm.
And some mu'mineen, when they pray, close their eyes, and the justification given is that it helps them concentrate in their salah. What's the ruling with regards to that?
It is permissible to close your eyes while praying salah, and permissible to open your eyes. but don't close your eyes all your salah. I mean, don't take it that when you start your salah, Allahu Akbar, close your eyes till the end. No. No. Because the Prophet did not pray full salah with closing his eyes. Sometimes when you are reading some verse and reacting with the meaning of it, or you are in sujood and your heart is feeling that to close your eyes, to focus on your salah for a while, for a second or for a more, okay. But don't take it as a continuous practice of closing your eyes.
What would be your answer to an atheist or member of another religion who states men and women are not equal in Islam? How would you answer in the best way?
As far as the honor and dignity, men and women are completely equal in Islam. Allah in Quran says, من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. Any person, being man or woman, doing good, we will give them nice life and reward them in the best of their deeds. In Islam, the dignity of man and woman is equal. In Quran, Allah says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have granted the children of Adam honor and dignity. Children of Adam are male and female, not only male. So in Islam, as far as dignity and honor is concerned, men and women are equal. Sometimes women is better than the man. When her piousness, when her sincerity, obedience, worship is more than the man, she is higher than him. We have got one female, Sayyidat Nisa al-Alamin, Fatima, one. She is better than all human beings. All human beings except her father, the Prophet of Islam, and her husband, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Imagine, one lady in her degree better than all human beings, absolutely, except her father and her husband. So, what is more than this degree? Islam is the religion from Allah. Allah created male and female. Why Allah did not create all of them as one gender? No. Because life needs male and needs female. Life will not go with one gender. Life needs male and female. There is list of functions which males can do, and list of functions which females can do. Specific functions female only can do. For example, who can carry the embryo except the female? Man cannot do it. So life needs female for regeneration. That difference in the function made rules according to that. That's why Allah created the females more delicate, more attractive to the male. That will encourage marriage. If the females are not attractive, then people will not get married because no attraction. No man will be interested in marrying. Why to marry if there's no attraction? Allah made the females attractive so that men try to propose to them for marriage. And marriage will be the beginning of having children, and life will continue. So there are differences in the function. According to that difference in the function, there are rules. Hijab is compulsory in the female because female is attractive. And to protect her dignity and modesty, and to protect the society also from immorality, hijab is must. So there are different rules. Not all. Most of the rules are same. Namaz, fasting, hajj, zakat, khums, jihad. Rules are mainly equal for men and women. But some rules, like hijab, for the females, that not because the woman is less, no, because the function of the woman has got some specific requirements, and function of the man has got specific requirements. So the claim that Islam differentiates between men and women is not accurate at all. Men and women are equal in the dignity, in the honor, in the respect, in the rights. All men and women have got full right of learning, doing business, owning, living, having whatever. Equally, I mean, no man can force a woman for marriage, no. She has got equal right to approve marriage or to reject marriage. So no question of distinguish, no question of discrimination between man and woman in Islam at all.
Okay, what is the mainstream position of the Shia on Uthman?
Uthman, we don't need to evaluate Uthman because Uthman is one of the people of Saqifa. We believe that Saqifa, total Saqifa is wrong. Saqifa was a conspiracy which was prepared, or I can say pre-planned, by people who secretly rejected the orders of the Prophet in Ghadir. When the Prophet announced the leadership after him by saying that for whomsoever I am the leader, the master, man kuntu mawla, fa'aliyun mawla, Ali is his mawla, his master and leader. Some people did not like that for their own reasons. Those people, when they saw Ali ibn Abi Talib and Ahlulbayt busy in the funeral of the Prophet, they went to Saqifa. They did not even attend the funeral of the Prophet of Islam. We believe that Saqifa is wrong. And whatever came out from Saqifa was also wrong. So that is the matter of Uthman. Go to your own Sunni books and you will see what Sunnis have written about Uthman. Uthman was being declared by Aisha as a kafir. As you know that Aisha is very important for our Sunni brothers and sisters. So Aisha herself called Uthman as a kafir. She said, "Uqtulu na'thalan qatalahu Allah." Tell Na'thal, she gave Uthman a name of a Jewish person in Medina called Na'thal. And she told Muslims to kill him, being a kafir. Look at what the companions said about Uthman. That should be enough. Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you. Is it true that the disbelievers brought idols to the war in Prophet Muhammad's time?
Brought idols
To the battlefield.
for what? To fight for them?
No, the enemies, the mushrikeen, the Quraysh.
No, they brought idols. Why they brought their idols? What for? They brought the idols for what? So the question is it right that the mushrikeen brought idols to the battlefield? I want to know what for they brought idols. Anyway, we cannot say yes because it is an act of the mushrikeen. And mushrikeen are mushrikeen, they are wrong. Wrong in their thinking, wrong in their ways, wrong in their morals. Mushrikeen are polytheists and they are enemies of Allah. So they might have done that thinking that the idols can protect them from the danger, but after all, they have lost and they are the losers because they are mushrikeen. So wrong is wrong. Anything comes from wrong is also wrong.
Did Prophet Yunus alayhi salam commit a wrong act by leaving his people and boarding the ship?
No, he did not commit any wrong because all the prophets are infallible. No prophet committed any sinful act. Even when you read in Quran, وَعَصَىٰ آدَمُ رَبَّهُ فَغَوَى. The translation says that Adam disobeyed his Lord and went astray. Wrong, that is not the real meaning. No prophet committed any sinful act at all. The only thing that Yunus could have done something better than what he did. He was angry with them. He was so angry with them because they rejected the messages from Allah. So Allah says, وَذَنُّونِ إِذْ ذَهَبَ مُغَاضِبًا. He left his people with anger. So Yunus alayhi salam and all the prophets never committed any sinful act at all. They did something which is not sinful act, but there was something better which they could have done. Yes, please.
How do we then, again, going back to what you said earlier, how it's important that we don't take verses out of context. We have to understand it as a part of the wider subject. So bearing that in mind, how do we understand verses? Because I can imagine that there are many people who are watching now asking this particular question. How do we, or how would you then explain verses in the Holy Quran for different prophets where they're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness if they are infallible?
Yes, they are infallible, of course. Of course they are infallible. When the prophet seeks forgiveness, it does not mean that he committed a sin at all. Forgiveness for the prophet, that his worship should have been better. He did worship Allah for 99%. He seeks forgiveness. Why he left that 1%? The 99 could have done as 100%. And the prophets, whatever they worship Allah, they know that the greatness of Allah is entitled for more and more and more. So whatever they worship Allah, that worship should be much more. That's why they say, رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيَّ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So the supplication, seeking forgiveness by the prophets does not mean at all that they have committed any sinful act at all, no. But they admit that whatever worship they have done it should be much more. Allah is entitled for greater and greater worship. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. If a woman was due to pray Dhuhr, but delayed it till late afternoon and then realized she had started her monthly cycle after Dhuhr time, does she have to pray Qadha prayer for that missed Salah?
Yes, of course, yes. Yes, because the time of Salah started when she was not in her menstruation cycle. When the time of Salah started, she could have started the Salah. She delayed it. And then after half an hour or 1 hour or more or less, the period started. So that Salah, which was missed because of menstruation, later, means she had time to perform the Salah. The Qadha of that Salah must be performed.
Okay, I have an examination during the start of Salah time. Should I miss a part of my exam then rush back to my exam?
If you can, then yes. If you can perform your Salah, say in 5 minutes, and rush to your exam, yes, do that. It might be also blessings and cause of success for you. If your exam does not allow you at all, then, and you should be sure that exam will not take the whole time of Salah. Means the exam should not be many hours that the time of Salah will go away. No. If the time of exam, say 1 hour, okay? And you are sure that after exam, there is plenty of time that you can perform your Salah. Okay, you can go to your exam and then pray. But I say, if you can perform your Salah before your exam, if it is permissible, then do that. It is much better for you.
Do we have to cover our hair with a headscarf when we eat?
Are we asked to cover our head? For females, right? Females or men?
I'm assuming
Females.
it's a female, yes.
No, my sister, no. The female is not being required to cover her hair when she eats, unless there is a non-mahram man can see her. But if she is at home and no outsider can see her, no, it is not recommended, not even recommended to cover her hair while eating.
Okay.
You see, eating has got some recommended acts. Means washing your both hands before eating and after eating. Saying Bismillah before eating. Okay? Making the parts of eating luqma, the bits small. Chewing the food properly. Saying Alhamdulillah while eating. These are recommended, but covering your head, that is not one of the rules or recommendations during eating if you are eating without any non-mahram who can see you.
Okay, I have many other questions, but unfortunately we've run out of time, saying that we have just over a minute.
The month of Dhul Qa'dah started. As we remember, the Salah of first day of every month. First day of every month of the Islamic months, 2 rak'at of Salah. In the first rak'at after Alhamd, 30 times Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad. Second rak'at after Alhamd, 30 times Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Has got great reward and great benefits in our life and our akhirat. Also in the month of Dhul Qa'dah, on Sunday there's mustahab, recommended Salah, which might we mention in the next week, inshallah, which has got also narrations. We hope that we get blessings from this month, because this month is from the Al-Ashhur Al-Hurum. In every year, 12 months, we have got 4 sacred months. 4 sacred months. Dhul Qa'dah and Dhul Hijjah and Muharram and Rajab. So Dhul Qa'dah is one of the sacred months, and there is a special amal, or 40 days from 1st of Dhul Qa'dah till the 10th of Dhul Hajj, of istighfar and dua and worshipping Allah for gaining the great wishes that we have. Many mu'mineen do it and get great benefits. May Allah bless you all and all the mu'mineen, and may Allah hasten the reappearance of our Imam al-Mahdi, Ajjal Allah Ta'ala Farajahu al-Sharif, and may Allah grant all the mu'mineen and mu'minat his best blessings and mercy and forgiveness بحق محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
Santum Sayyidina, thank you very much indeed, and as always to all of our respective viewers, inshallah we'll see you again soon. Until the next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.